I have practically never closed my Instagram after looking through all different photographers' photos and thinking like, wow, I feel so inspired to take my own photos. That just has never happened for me. And I always kind of thought there was something wrong with me or weird, that I never really got inspired from other people's photography. It was cool to look at and it was interesting to see how other people worked, but it never inspired me to get out there and shoot myself. So this past week I was thinking, what things actually inspire me? What gets me going? What gets me out there to get my camera out and to create something? And I thought of 6 things that really get me from kind of feeling apathetic or just like, oh, okay, like maybe I'll do something, to getting me really excited, to giving me an idea for something to really work on and to bring to life. The first thing is just getting to work. I know this maybe doesn't sound super helpful, but I've found when I just have any idea, like any idea at all, even if it seems kind of lame, even though, I don't know, it might not be like the best idea ever, I've found that when I just take the only idea I have, even though it might not be revolutionary, if I just take that and get to work and do something, it's amazing how one idea leads to another idea to another idea. The first time I had ever gone kind of backpacking for real was with a whole bunch of friends in Yosemite. We got these massive like backpacks and we were gonna be out there for 3 days hiking a long time. And this was the first time I had ever done something like that. I had never been to Yosemite before and I knew kind of nothing about the hike that we were taking. I was there as a photographer kind of capturing the trip, and I had so much gear on me that when I put my backpack on and took a few steps, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna keep going. And there was something kind of great about the fact that I didn't know what was ahead of me. I didn't know how hard it was gonna be, but also I didn't know how incredible the sights were gonna be. And so maybe that's a little far-fetched, but I feel like getting to work to get inspired is kind of like finding the trailhead. Like, don't worry about what's gonna be down the trail. Don't think too much about how hard it's gonna be, because it's probably sometimes gonna be harder than you think it is. But also the views are probably going to be better than you think or than you realize. And so I'm not telling you to, this is not advice to not plan while you're hiking. You should definitely plan and do all those things. But what I'm trying to get at is if you just take anything you have, like take just whatever idea you have and you just get out there and you start, it's amazing that ideas create ideas and create ideas. And you go down the path, the trail of creativity, and in no time, you're like, wow, this is a really cool idea, and I don't even kind of know where it came from. I just kind of found it along the way. Number 2 is I find inspiration from dead people. So dead people, I mean artists, dead artists. People that are creative, that are not in my current society. I think a lot of this came from the fact that I never thought I could be a photographer as a job. I actually wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a painter. And so all my kind of like how I learned to be creative and to try things was in a different world. It was in the fine art world. And I think that's really helped me because I find so much inspiration from people outside of the photography world. I find not just outside of the photography world, but like outside of our culture and outside of our time. And so I find so much inspiration from old Dutch painters, Renaissance painters. because they just think differently than me. They have different sources of inspiration. They have different life experiences. And so find some dead artists, find some people that have done work years ago, hundreds of years ago, and you'd be surprised at what kind of inspiration you can find there. Number 3 is getting bored. We are so stimulated all the time. It's because we have so much amazing things at our fingertips. You can watch YouTube videos, you can look on Instagram, and there's just so many people creating such great content out there. And that's awesome, but often when I want to get inspired, I shut everything off and I get bored. I don't know about you, but I get great ideas in the shower. And why is that? I think there's not something special about the water. It's the fact that all of your kind of sensory things are shut off. That's why it's so great to go for a walk. If you really want to be crazy and freak people out at the closest coffee shop to you, go get a coffee and sit down. Maybe not even with a paper or a pen. Just sit and drink your coffee. And people will be like, what are you doing? Why are you creepily sitting there not doing anything? But it's amazing if you give yourself the opportunity to be bored, opportunity to just let your brain think and to work out things. You'll be amazed at kind of what ideas just pop into your mind if you just give yourself a moment to sit and to think about nothing. Number 4 is use the other side of your brain. So something that gives me a lot of kind of relief and gives me new thoughts and gives me inspiration is working with my hands. Because I feel like photography is so visual. It's so I spend a lot of time on the computer. I spend a lot of the time kind of thinking about abstract ideas. That for me, doing the complete opposite, and that's working with my hands, doing something physical. Last summer, I helped some friends re-top their whole deck, and it took several days. It was amazing how many ideas I had while I was putting boards down, cutting them, screwing them in. When I used just a different side of my brain, or I did an activity that was so different from what I'm normally doing every day as my work, I had so many ideas. I was like, oh, I gotta write that down. Number 5 is talk shop with like-minded people. Find some people in your community that know what you're talking about when you are brainstorming your next, big photo shoot you're gonna do. Find people that when you say an idea, they're like, ooh, that's cool. What if you did this and this and this? You need people to bounce ideas off, to get inspired from, to hear what they're thinking about, to hear what ideas they're pursuing. Because when you're always just by yourself in your own mind, it's really easy just to get caught in the same circle of ideas. But if you branch out, interact with other people and other creatives, it can open your mind up to new ways of thinking, and just to even hear what they're doing can inspire you to do something else. If you don't have a community like this, or you're working on it and you're trying to find people in your geographical area that do the same thing as you, or just think in the same creative way, then I would suggest even finding a good podcast, because that can be something similar to hearing another creative person talk about their ideas and how to implement them. One podcast that I highly suggest, and anytime that I need some inspiration and some just energy in the creative engine, I go to the Creative Pep Talk podcast. This guy, he will inspire you and pump you up to do your best creative work. Number 6 is signing into my wife's YouTube and looking at her feed. Okay, this is kind of a joke that we have between Allie and I. Sometimes we'll turn on our TV and click on her YouTube or my YouTube and just look at the different feeds and watch a video on there that's interesting. And we do that because have you ever looked at, someone's Instagram or someone's Facebook that's not yours, and you're like, whoa, your feed is so different than mine. Look into YouTube videos that that you would never normally watch. Because you're gonna be able to see people that that do things just differently than you. Look at different, I don't know, if you're a wedding photographer like I am, look into what, I don't know, a ring designer does, or look up videos of landscaping. I don't know, something very different than your own industry. Because when you look into different industries, when you look at people that think very differently than you, that have different jobs than you can see things in completely new lights. And even though it might seem very random and it might seem so different, it's those type of things that when your brain sees it, it makes these connections that create something really fun, new, and exciting. I hope one of these things is helpful for you as you are trying to find inspiration to do your best work.